Hey guys, kia ora, whakalofa lahi atu, and no mai huki mai. Welcome back to this week's podcast episode. I am so excited. I have special guest Miria Flavell in the building. Oh, not in the building, actually. She's in Samoa, where I wish I was. I'm in Melbourne, but thank you so much for joining me, sis.
All good. Happy to be here. Excited to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. Now, honestly, it is a huge honor to have you on. You are someone I look up to in business.
Thank
Before I
you.
started coaching, I actually had a sunglasses business, and this was like 5 years ago. I recently just shut it down. And I feel like back in that time, there wasn't as many like Polynesian business owners. I feel like there's a lot more now, which I love to see. But back then, I was really kind of struggling to see someone who looked like me having a business in like a successful business. So it was cool to see like you started off in your garage. And then even now, like there's so many different things that you did. Hine, tane. I even watched like you had Hine Hour. You had a podcast as well. Like
Yeah,
just
we
all the
did.
things, and you've got a perfume line coming out. You opened a gym. Like there was just so
Mhm.
many things that you have done, and I'm just like, wow, like to watch what you've been doing is so incredible. And I think, yeah, I really wanted to get you on because I know like you inspire me a lot, and I know you will inspire my community as well. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for making the time to be here. I would love if you could introduce yourself to the people.
Oh, kia ora everyone. My name is Miria, so Miria Flavell. I'm Māori, so I'm from Ngāti Rangiwewe here in Taranaki. And I'm a mum of two. And yeah, business owner for the last 6 years. Yes, I'm currently in Samoa. It was a very last minute spontaneous trip with my best friends. So I just finished a swim in the beach, and I had to keep watching the time to make sure that I could jump on in time. But I'm really happy that we could make it work and have a kōrero.
Yeah, thank you. That's the life, eh? I was like, that's what, when it comes to business, I don't know about you, but like when I think about business, I'm like, that's what I want to do. Like, you want to just be able to go away on trips and like not have to call in sick to work or go to work and all the things.
I have been working. That's the thing, is that
Oh, you
you
still
know,
work?
yeah, I'm still working, and that's because it was a very last minute trip. But like, and I think it's so important to take some breaks though. Like when I
Yeah.
actually am going for a holiday, I make sure I switch off. But this was a little bit different, so I spent most of the morning actually on Zoom calls. But it's about
Okay.
balance. I'm still
Yeah.
making sure that I'm enjoying my time with my best friends and relaxing, which is actually really needed when you're in business, because as you would know, it's very much go, 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 hardly any break. So it's always good to take those opportunities to have a break.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I truly believe like your childhood really impacts like how you are today or who you are today. I'd love to know, what was it like growing up as young Miria?
That's a hard question. I think, well, the thing is that growing up, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I left school. I think, like growing up, I think um, two very hardworking parents, two parents that kind of instilled all things Te Ao Māori into us kids.
Mm,
So raised speaking Te Reo Māori, raised doing kapahaka, raised knowing who we were, like as in our identity as being Maori.
mm,
So growing up, I suppose I've always been very proud to be Maori, and it's all I've ever really known, if I'm being honest. And so, going through school, I think I loved performing arts. Like that was my thing, was performing arts, whether it was kapahaka, whether it was like drama class, like being in school productions and things like that. That was my jam. Like that's what I loved during school. And I think like leaving school, I like many people, I think I was just still figuring out what I wanted to do, had no idea. I
mm,
definitely tried heaps of different things. I've like worked at like gas stations, I've worked at Countdown, I've worked at restaurants, cafes, like I've tried it all. And I
mm,
think like, I went to university still figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I think like I was blessed with two parents that supported me with all my crazy ideas. There was
mm,
one point there where I was a makeup artist, and I was doing YouTube videos and things like that. Like, I don't know, it's quite important that I tell this to people, because I don't think that every person coming out of high school, and, especially for a younger generation, you don't have to have it figured out as soon as you leave school. Like, for me, it took me, gosh, I'm not even going to do my maths right now. I can't think, but like, I've only been in business for the last 6 years, and I'm 35 this year. So if you can imagine, before that, it was kind of like, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm just going to try different things. And so having two parents that just supported every single thing that I was doing, I think that's really, really important. And I feel like if I didn't have that, maybe it could have been a different story, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Because I know some of us do, some of our generation still get pressured into by your parents, like pressuring you into doing a certain thing, as you leave school and become your own adult. But yeah.
Yeah, nice. What
Yeah.
would you say is like something from your childhood that you're passing on to your kids, and then maybe something that you're not passing on?
Um, Definitely what my parents instilled in me in terms of like te reo Māori. I made sure that was their first language and the only language we speak. Making sure that they're very proud to be Māori as well in all things that they do. And as they grow older, I hope they do the same with their kids.
Yeah.
But I love that my kids get to experience everything that goes on behind the scenes with Hine, because then they kind of learn. And I will never push my kids to like go and start their own businesses and things like that. But I think for them, it's like, because they've been around it since they were babies.
Yeah.
And there's moments there where like my kids kind of take it for granted. Like, it could be that they want a toy, right? And they're like, and I'm like, no, you're not getting that. And I'm like, then they'll say, oh, but you've got money, you have Hine. And I'm like, oh, no way, no way. And so it's like having those conversations with them. It's like, just because I own a business does not mean that I am like loaded with money, and doesn't mean that you're just going to get it. If you want this, you work for it, And so I've like been trying to teach that to my kids, and they have become so independent. And I don't know, I think it's just kind of role modeling what hard work looks like. So that's probably the main thing, is just their culture, they are Māori, and just teaching them about hard work and being hard workers.
Nice. Love that. What do you think something people don't talk about when it comes to business and motherhood?
How hard it is. How hard it is. At the end of the day, you're sacrificing a lot of your time that you could be having with your kids. You miss out on a lot of things. You could be missing out on different athletics, or sports days, or you could miss out on things. And I think that was definitely the hardest thing for me. Now it's a bit different, because now it's kind of a non-negotiable for me, because I'm like, I've got a really amazing team now, that if there's something really important with the kids, I'm going like, you guys hold the fort, I have to go. Like, I'll prioritize my kids' things. Back then it was harder, because we had a really small team, and so it wasn't as easy, being able to, take a whole day off work to go and support my kids with certain things. So I think that was definitely the hardest thing. But it could always also be like the late nights when they're asleep. Motherhood and being in business is probably one of the hardest things that I would say throughout my business journey. That's the hardest thing for me, was finding that balance. And I still struggle with it to this day, and it's been 6 years. I still really struggle with it, but that's where I think I'm really lucky, whereas I'm really honest with my kids. And it could be that one certain night I have a deadline for something. I'll literally sit my kids down and say, like, this afternoon, I won't be able to sit with you guys. I won't be able to hang out with you guys. I have got this really important thing that I need to do. And then I promise, like, this weekend, we'll make time just us, okay? Like, and that's how I talk. I like talk to them like they're adults. And they're 8 and 10 now.
Yeah.
But I think they appreciate that, because then they understand. And then they're like, obviously, because they've been around it for so long, they're like, okay, yeah. And they'll leave me alone. They won't interrupt me or anything like that. So I'm very lucky to have 2 kids that do understand now, and it has taken a while to get to this point, but yeah.
Nice. I love that communication with them.
You have to, though. But yeah, balance is hard with motherhood.
Yeah. If you could start Hine all over again, but with the knowledge that you have now, what would be the first thing that you'd do?
Like, what would I change? I wouldn't change anything. I would not. And I honestly mean that because I don't think we would be here today if I didn't go through what I went through.
Mm.
Everything that I went through in that first year was where I learned everything about business. Like in terms of, because you know, I went into Hine with no business experience. A lot of like, I don't know if many people even know that. I have no business experience whatsoever. And I think it was good for me because I was able to learn every single area of my business or how to run a business because it was just me. So I had to like figure it out on my own. So I think like the whole journey that I've had the last 6 years, there's like not one thing that I would change because, and you know, you've probably heard this so many times, but you learn your best lessons out of like all your failures and mistakes, which is it's so true. And so I think, yeah, if I look back, there's nothing that I would change for my journey, especially in the beginning.
What would you say was a challenge that you faced mentally when you started Hine or any of the businesses?
I think the first year is always the hardest. Oh, maybe even the first 6 months, because trying to start a business first and foremost, and I'm saying that now because I'm trying to start my fragrance line, right? And that's basically starting a business from scratch again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. This is, you know, like, oh my gosh, all the work that goes into starting a brand. Because for that brand, I really wanted to keep it completely separate from Hine. And so starting from scratch again, I'm like, far out. So I think starting a business first and foremost, and even taking that first step is hard because you've got to really believe in yourself to even make that first step. The second thing is like, it's learning patience, which I'm not really good with patience. That's one thing I really but struggle with. And so I think like having patience in that first 6 months, because in our first 6 months of Hine, it was like we were getting probably, if we were lucky, 1 or 2 sales a day.
Really?
And so when you're like not making income and, you know, you've got a family to support, obviously like that's you're kind of in that moment where you're like, do I keep going or do I just give up and go like find a job, right? So I think for me in that first 6 months of Hine, that's where my head was at, and it was kind of like you felt like a failure because first of all your business isn't doing well, and you're not making income. You know, you get put in those situations where you have to make that tough decision, and I'm glad I did carry through and keep going with Hine. But that was definitely the biggest challenge for me in that first year of business, and even just like with this fragrance brand, because of the time that, you know, I don't have much time because Hine just consumes all my time as well as my kids. And so there's like been moments with my fragrance brand that I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to find time to do it and all that? And it was just lucky that last week, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but last week I got COVID, and it kind of forced me, because I was at home, I had all this time, and I was like, did this happen for a reason? Because I ended up working on my fragrance brand, and it was just weird that it happened, because then it kind of gave me the time to actually work on my brand, so on the fragrance brand. But yeah, heaps of challenges, always heaps of challenges, but good. I think challenges are really good. I see them as being good.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking more about Hine, what was the reason why you started Hine?
That was my own personal journey. So back in 2017, I kept getting health issues. I kept having health issues after I had my babies. And it got to the point where I ended up in hospital. My kids had to see me. We were at home alone. So it's a little bit of a long story, but my kids, I ended up having to leave my kids at doctor's, what are they called? Like, was it a doctor's? I don't know. It was down the road from my house. I had to leave them there and be taken in an ambulance to the hospital. Had to sort my best friend to go grab my kids. My kids were left with strangers. That's how much I was in pain and had to go to the hospital. And so as soon as that happened to me, I was like, I need to make a massive lifestyle change. So I was about a size 16, size extra large back then. I needed to make a massive lifestyle change. I joined a gym, and I had to find activewear. I didn't own any activewear. And so I started looking at all the different brands, like the Gymsharks and the Lululemons and all that, just to get me some activewear, even Nike. And all these brands I noticed that all these brands stopped at a size medium, size 12. If you're lucky, a size large. None of them went past large. And of course, there's like, obviously there's Kmart and all that, but I was like, I really want to wear like good quality and nice looking activewear. Like, you know, I want to feel good. I want to look good when I go train and go to the gym. It's intimidating, or, you know, like stepping into a gym for the first time when you're a total newbie is very intimidating, right? And it's scary. I've been through that. And so I remember like going to the gym and, you know, the fact I couldn't find any activewear, I think like there was just a lot of frustration. I was just annoyed and mad. And I was like, why would they not cater to everyone? If heaps of us here want to, and you know, I was speaking on behalf of so many different women. Heaps of my best friends were like size extra large, 2XL, you know. And I'm like, that's just not fair. And so I don't know, just on this random day, because I always tell the story about how I was at my mum's house, and I was on an activewear page, and it was a New Zealand brand who owned an activewear brand. I won't name any names. They're not actually still going at the moment. And I looked on their social media, and they were all like size small models on their page. And so I was like, nah, that's it. I've had enough of this. Like, I was just frustrated and annoyed. And I was like, that's just so not fair. Like, I really want to put myself first and try, you know, like exercise, take care of myself. And then like, no one's even catering to any of us. And so I remember walking out into the lounge. My mum was sitting in the lounge, and I just said, I'm going to start a clothing brand. And yeah, my mum was just like, what the heck? Like, where the hell did this even come from? And I think most people still ask me that question. Where did Hine come from? You know, where did that idea come from? But and then so at the time I was just thinking, well, I'll just start it and see what happens. I'll just do one pair of leggings in 2 colors. So we did gray and black, and then one sports bra in gray and black. Oh no, I think we did blue as well. So it was 1 style of legging, 1 style of bra, and 3 colors. Started that process. That whole process of actually starting, like finding a supplier and all of that, was really hard. But we ended up launching, so I did pre-orders to start it just because I had no money. We had to use like my partner at the time, my kid's dad, we like had to use like our house savings. And then we did pre-orders, and I think we sold like, I think it was like 40 leggings or something over a period. It was like a long period. The first day we launched, we sold like 10 leggings, and we ordered like, I'm going to say around 300 maybe leggings. So if you can imagine like ordering all the stock and only selling 10 on day one, and then over that period of waiting for the pre-orders, I'm pretty sure we sold like 40. And so, you know, at that time I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? No one's buying this product. What are we going to do? We have to pay the rest of pay our suppliers the rest of the money. And so even like looking back, I'm like, I don't know how we got through that, but we did. We found a way. That's the beginning story of Hine.
Yeah, it's so inspiring. There's a quote that I really love, and it's like, be the change you wish to see in the world. I feel like that's exactly what you did. Like, you saw that there was something that you needed, you wanted that, and you were like, yo, I'm gonna do it myself. And can I just say, like, you're like the activewear, I'm not even lying, like, it's the best. Like, I have you know that it's like an orange color tights. The orange.
Those are very
orange.
old, but
yeah. Well, they're still my favorite. They're still like, there's no rips, no tears or anything, as opposed to other brands I've had in the past. And I love them so much. And yeah, I've got more. I'm always buying more Hine activewear because it's so funny. Good. Yeah, but
You're obviously an orange lover. Are you obsessed with orange?
Yeah. That's my whole brand is orange. So can you bring some more orange out, please?
I got it now.
We need some more orange in there. But yeah, I love that you're all about, you know, inclusivity as well. Whenever I see your campaigns, there's different sizes, all sizes, and it's so cool to see. So I'd love to know, like, what does body diversity or body inclusivity, what does it mean to you, and like, why is this important when it comes to Hine? What is important in life?
Well, like, this is a little bit hard for me to talk about, but a prime example is my daughter.
Mm.
So my daughter is already at an age where she's comparing herself to other girls, right? So my daughter, she's um she's a what how do I say this? She looks older than her age, if that makes
Mm.
sense. So she's tall, she's built, you know, she wears some of my clothes, which is funny because and they look baggy on her, but that's what she likes to wear.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that all her friends are a lot smaller than her, right?
Mm.
So she is already having those conversations about being embarrassed about her body, being shame about her body. And I'm like, that's my motivation, right? To make a
Mhm.
huge change when it comes to what she's seeing. And it could be on TikTok, on Instagram. Not that she's on Instagram, but she's gonna be
Mm.
she's gonna get to an age where she'll be on Instagram. So
Yeah.
I think it's very, very important that we normalize all bodies being normal, right?
Yeah.
And so I think just having my daughter was like that wake up call. And I think I've been through that. I went through that stage when I was in high school and all of that about my body, like,
Yes.
you know, being a lot different to other girls in my
Mhm.
class and all of that. Um, but I think for the next generation, that's my motivation, is to try and make a change so that what they do see is normal bodies, so that they do know that their body is beautiful exactly the way that it is. She does not need to look like anyone else.
Mm.
And so I think that we have the platform to be able to do that. And that's the thing, is that my daughter doesn't see what we put on social media.
Mm.
And hopefully, actually, one thing that I probably should do is bring her to a photo shoot so she sees it in
Oh,
person. But
yeah.
she's not seeing all of our campaign photos and all of that.
Yeah.
But what I can do is set it up so that, you know, when she does get to that age, and not just her, all her friends and her generation, the next generation, even the ones that are in high school at the moment,
Yeah.
is that, you know, when they get to a time where they start looking through Instagram, when they start, you know, seeing magazines and all that kind of stuff, is that
Mm.
they're seeing normal bodies, and normal bodies are all bodies. So
Yes.
yeah, I think that's definitely been my motivation. And that's why it's extremely important that every single photo shoot that we do our best to represent as many different women as possible.
Yes, I love that so much. That's a lot of the mahi that I do, is all about confidence and body confidence, because I
Yes.
was 6 years old when I was looking at other like kids like, oh, why am I so much bigger? And then my first
Yeah, yeah.
diet was at 11 years old. And I
Oh
look
my
back and
God.
I'm like, fuck, that's so young. Like, that's crazy. And my whole life, and it was only like a couple of years ago where I was like, nope, that's enough. Like, I need to learn to love my body and unlearn everything that we see on social media and all the things. And yeah, so I love that. And it's
Yeah.
yeah, whenever I see your campaigns, it is so inspiring, and I know that it's helping so many amazing women out there.
I hope
um
so. I hope it does.
yeah, absolutely. When it comes to actually confidence, when it comes to business and confidence, how do you gain the confidence to go out there, you build this brand, you represent it online, like you do your thing? I think a lot of business owners really struggle to show up online and represent what they're doing in their mahi and stuff like that, because it is scary. How do you, or how did you do it?
I wouldn't say I'm confident. Um, if I'm being honest, I
Yeah,
don't. And like, I actually don't like showing up on social media, if I'm being honest as well.
yeah,
Is that I'm like, a lot of people think I'm really extroverted, but I'm
yeah,
not. I'm actually really introverted. And I think like we're very blessed with an amazing, amazing loyal community.
yeah.
And I feel like if they didn't hype me up the way that they do, and if they didn't hype up any of the way that they do, then I don't think that, firstly, I don't think we would be here, like, still surviving our business. I don't think it would
Mhm.
still be here. And secondly, I don't think I would feel so confident. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, just like the feedback you've just given me, you have no idea what that does to me. I'm like,
Mm.
it's like a feeling of relief, because I'm like, oh, you know, like, yay, that's so good to hear that, because then I know that we're doing something right. And
Yeah.
so like when I hear things like feedback from the community, that's that's where I get my confidence.
Mm.
And it just makes me know that we're on the right track. But the best thing for me too is hearing not negative feedback, but constructive, you know, like feedback, because that's where I can obviously do better. And that's why I like thrive, not thrive, but when in like our we've got like a community page, and we've got like a VIP chat. I've even got a focus group with about like 25 of our customers.
Oh, I
And
love
I'm
that.
like, just tell me the truth. Like, give
Yeah.
me feedback. Like,
Mm.
honestly, nothing you say will hurt me. I would rather hear it so I can make it better or improve it.
Yeah.
Just tell me. Are those like, do you like that bra? Do you like the feeling of those leggings? Do you like, is our sizing working? Do you like these colors? Like, I'm constantly asking for feedback so that I can do better, because like I'd rather feel confident in that way as well, that we're like actually doing our best to make our product perfect or to make it better and keep improving. I would rather that than not at all. Like, that's where I also get confidence, is making sure that we're doing our best.
I love that you are taking all that feedback and stuff on, because that
So
obviously
important.
shows why your activewear is so good. It's because you're getting this feedback from people who are actually wearing it and all the things. How do you not take that personally as well? Like, when people give feedback, sometimes people are scared of feedback because they're like, oh no, they take it personally, or they make it mean certain things. How do you take it?
There's a difference between someone being really, really just negative, and there's a difference between that and someone saying, hey, I think this is what can really improve your product.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference there. Like, sometimes we'll just have someone that will just say, I absolutely hate this bra.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Okay.
cool, can you go further?
Can you elaborate?
Like, what do you not like about it?
Yeah.
And so I'm that type of person that will actually investigate and ask them, like, tell me more. But you know, sometimes like someone will leave a bad review, and it could just be that, like, I don't like this, like I just said, like, I don't like this legging. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help us, does it? Like, I need to know so that I can make it better. But like, I won't say that I don't take them personally sometimes. It could be like something that I worked really, really hard on, like a certain particular product I worked my ass off, all right? And I like did multiple different samples. I was really, really happy with it. And someone gives something like negative feedback. Like, of course I'm gonna be like, oh, you know, but majority of the time, it's always, it's feedback that I need to know. But when it's just like something quite like just rude or nasty, then I'm like, oh, that's not okay. But
Yeah.
we really get that. We really get that. But usually it's constructive, like, you know, feedback.
Yeah. Awesome. When it comes to business, like, and building the community, because the Hine community is so strong. Like, when I see certain things you do, whether it's like pop-ups, I saw that you did a pop-up one time. There's like community down the street. Even in Australia, I see Hine all the time around. And I'm like, it's like this thing. Like, when I see someone wearing Hine, I'm like, I know you're like, we're gonna be friends, like, kind of thing, you know, like, so it's like we're a part of that community. So I'd love to know, like, what do you think has I think helped helped the community grow, but also with your business growth as well? What do you think's like been like a main thing that's really contributed to that?
Well, it's probably what we were just talking about showing up online. And, you know, from day one of Hine, so this was like back in 2017 when it was just an idea, I shared it online. Like, I shared the whole journey online. And like, when I say that I don't like showing up, I think it's only been in the last couple of years that I've become like that, because I think, you know, I went through a personal, like, okay, I'll explain it properly. So the first couple of years of Hine, I shared the whole entire journey. So if you can imagine, the whole community has been there. They feel like they're a part of the journey, and they are a part of the journey because I shared all of it. So it's like seeing all the behind the scenes from when it was an idea, when I went through heaps of stuff ups or failures. Like, I showed up and talked about them, and I was very transparent. I was really open. And I think, like, because you share so much of your life online, there got to a point where I obviously went through like separation with my kid's dad, and like, it just felt really public. Like, everyone wanted to know about that, and you know, it was something very personal to me. And I think I've actually never shared this online before either.
Thanks for sharing.
But like, I think that after that time, I became really, really closed off, and I didn't want to share anything anymore online. And so even like just showing up was really, really hard for me. But I think like, and you know, I love our community so much. Like so many people that have been there from the start that are still here today, and like I love that they, you know, our whole community always like pick me up when I am going through a hard time and all that. But you know, I think it's just, yeah, I think I just found it really, really hard to show up after that. But I always try my best. I always do jump on, you know, and because it's kind of what got us to where we are today, is sharing the journey. And I know they love being a part of the journey, and so I do try and share as much as possible. But I think that's what kind of built our community.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days was when we started our group Facebook page. So that started because I wanted to do like a 12-week challenge. And so I put out the call and I was like, hey, is anyone keen to like join me on this 12-week challenge? Rah, and so many girls jumped in, and it just grew. So now I think we're at like 12,000 people on that page.
Wow.
And it's cool. It's really, really cool to see how much it's built over the years. But that's where it started from. And I think that's where the community really started from, was from that Facebook group page.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
I've never talked about that before.
on the body.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some people might be like, oh, that makes sense now, you know, like they'll know exactly about their, like, you know, their time period.
Yeah. When it comes to business, how do you handle self-doubt or imposter syndrome? And actually, do you experience self-doubt and imposter syndrome? And then how do you overcome it?
Oh God, you're gonna get me with that question. I still get that. I think it's so important to be surrounded by the right people.
Yeah.
First and foremost. Like if I didn't have, like, for example, at the moment we're looking to expand into the US. So next month we're going over, we're working with amazing people over there. There's moments where I'm like, nah, this is not going to happen. Or it could be that like, no, why would people in the States buy from us when they've got all these other brands? Like, I constantly have moments like that. But then having the right people around me, and even like our community, right? And that's what I talk about with, like, that's where I get my confidence, is from our community. But like, if having the right people around me to say like, oh my gosh, like even people in the US, for example, that are saying to me like, you need to get your brand over here. We're going to do this. We're going to, like, it's going to do amazing and all this kind of stuff. So like, I think for me, and I'm human, I'm just like any other person, whereas like we all go through self-doubt, and I constantly do have that. But I think like if I didn't have my best friends, my whānau, my advisors, my team, if I didn't have those people around me that know like when I'm having those moments, to be like, hey, snap out of it, like this is going to be amazing, you know, like, and they'll remind me of things that we've achieved, or they'll remind me of like my vision, you know, and sometimes I lose track of that. And they'll remind me of my vision, they'll remind me of my goals. And that's usually like what helps me kind of, you know, put my focus back into all the things that I'm trying to do. So definitely have those moments a lot. But yeah, I think having the right people is so, so important.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, because sometimes when we see people online doing amazing things, we're like, oh, they don't go through what, like, they're never going to feel self-doubt and, you know, imposter syndrome. So it is a little bit of a relief to know, like, oh, everyone goes through this, and it's pushing through, making sure you're around the right people, remembering your goals, your vision, why you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. So thank you for sharing that. Another thing, when you put yourself out there online and you have your business online and all the things, is you get judgments, you get people, you know, saying what they think and all the things about you and your business. And sometimes even it goes as far as your family and your friends, like you were just mentioning, like people want to know everything about your life when you share it online. Would you say, do you care about what other people think? And if you do, how do you overcome? Because I know a lot of times people don't do things. They don't start businesses. They don't wear what they want to wear. They don't show up online because they're worried about their aunties, uncles, random people on social media saying something. So yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, to be honest, I'm pretty lucky, and this is gonna make sense after after what we just spoke about, is that when I stopped sharing my personal life, that's when all the noise stopped. So no one, and I, like, seriously, I don't get any hate touch wood,
Touch wood.
I don't get any hate or people being negative towards me personally, ever since I stopped sharing my personal life.
Mm,
So I don't know if that's telling you something, but you know, and I've got friends that share their whole entire lives on social media, and they get hate and negative comments all the time. And
mm,
so I think like when you do share your life, is that people just feel kind of like entitled to, like, I
yeah.
don't know, give an opinion on your life as well. So I don't get that. Thank God I don't get that. In terms of hine, when there might be a negative comment, you know, we do get them sometimes, and usually it's not people that actually shop with us.
Mm,
And so I have definitely had to grow thick skin over the years. And like what we were talking about with negative comments, like sometimes it's just someone just really not having a good day, right? And
mm,
it's kind of like, for me personally, I will always make sure that every single customer, if they're unhappy, like really, really unhappy, I always tell my team, I don't care what you have to do,
mm,
make them happy. Like, don't let them
mm.
leave without being happy.
Oh,
And so
good.
that's really important. That's always been really, really important to me. Is like, I don't care if we have to refund them, if we have to send them free products, I don't care. Just make sure that they walk away happy.
Yeah.
But if it's someone really, really negative, and it's someone that you just know don't even care about your
Mm,
brand or don't care about you, and they just really are just being nasty, I just have to honestly just have really thick skin and just move on from it.
yeah.
Um, because I think everyone's going to get that. All businesses are going to get that. There's
Mm,
going to be negative people sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. You just got to pick and choose your battles, really. Like
yeah.
sometimes it's just someone that's just not happy
Yeah.
themselves, and they're just projecting it onto someone else, and it is what it is.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that. Pick your battles.
Mm,
Sometimes people
yeah.
aren't worth it, but then I also love that because you care so much about your community and your brand and stuff like that. You're like, team, whatever it takes, like, let's make this person like happy. So that
Mm.
really, really shines through. Yeah, I love that so much. What's one thing people don't know about you that you are willing to share?
I don't know that they don't know about
Yeah,
me.
that they don't know about you, that you're willing to share as well.
I feel like I always talk about everything. Probably that one, that I'm actually quite introverted.
Yeah,
So
actually.
a lot of people don't believe me because they're like, but you go and do all these talks, and like
Yeah,
like I do like just this, like even this
yeah.
podcast. But like the thing is that when it comes to talking about my business,
Mm,
it's different because I'm very passionate about, I'm passionate about my business. I'm
yeah,
like, it's different. But when like if I'm in a room full of people, like I actually get really anxious. And a lot of people are like, if you saw me, you would never think it. But I get
yeah,
really, really anxious about people I don't know. Like, what's it called? It's like social anxiety. But yeah, I'm really introverted. It's like, what's it called? It's like you're extroverted around people that you know or
yeah,
comfortable with, but like in other settings. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that about me. So before I go on and do a talk, like this is different because I feel really comfortable talking to you. It's like talking to one of your friends, it's
yeah,
like just like I'm FaceTiming you.
yeah.
But like if I was going to stand in front of a stage like full of people, and this is funny because at the beginning I told you I love performing arts. But over the years, my adult years, I just became really anxious and just socially kind of introverted, I should say.
Yeah.
And so if I'm doing a talk and I have to stand in front of heaps of people, if you knew what was going inside of me, like my whole body is like shaking. It got to a point where I had to start saying no to doing public talks
Mm,
because my body would literally like freak out before I'd go and do a talk. The thing is, like, anyone in the audience watching me would have no idea.
yeah, I was
But
just
it's
gonna
like
say that.
they'd have no idea. And as soon as I come off, I have to have a whole day off the next day to come down from it. So
Wow.
no one knows that.
Yeah, that's
But
actually
that's
very
just,
interesting.
yeah. And I think like, but the thing is, and I think that the reason why I have a day off the whole day after is that when I get up to speak to people, I'll give my all. I'll give my whole, like, so much energy. And because after the talk is usually I'm mingling, like networking and
Mm,
meeting people and all of that. So I'm giving all my energy to these people that when I get home, I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know, it's like my social battery is completely empty. I remember, so we did Matatini, right? So this is the biggest kapahaka festival in the world, and it's a 4-day event. And we've done it twice now, and the same thing happened both times. So for 4 days, we had a Hine store there, and this is like hundreds and thousands of people over the 4 days. Every day for 4 days, we had non-stop people in the store, like at a time, like 10, 20, lots of people. So if you can imagine, through those days, I'm literally like, it's kind of like, it's not that I'm putting on a front. It's not that. Like I'm very, like I'm genuinely wanting to like engage with every single person. But when you're quite a like introverted person, you kind of like just have to get it together, just, you know, like have the energy for every single person. So anyway, this whole 4 days of nonstop meeting so many different people, engaging with our customers, all of that, I needed a whole week. I'm not even joking. I needed a whole week just to recover from those 4 days of being around people and talking to people. So yeah, probably not the answer you were looking for, but probably that.
No, that's very interesting. And I remember seeing that on social media. Like there were lines they were lining up, waiting to come through. And honestly, if I lived in New Zealand, I would be there too. I remember when whenever I come home, I'm always like, is there something on? Like you used to have boot camps and stuff. I was like, is there a boot camp? Like who wants to come to me to the movement? Like
oh, you should. You have to
yeah.
visit me next time you come.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully one day we'll be able to open up a store. It's definitely like not like we just went into Rebel Sports at the start of this year.
Oh
in April.
yes, congratulations.
So thank you. So that was
That's
kind of like
amazing.
our way to reach as many people around New Zealand as possible. And like the main reason why I did that is or agreed to that partnership was so our customers could literally go in store to try the product on in person. And so that happened. And so before Rebels approached us, I was thinking about doing a store. But as soon as the Rebel Sports thing happened, I just said, oh, you know, we'll just, you know, rather than start our own retail store, they can go try the product on in Rebels. But definitely next year, maybe we'll look at opening up a store.
Yes.
Who knows?
That'll be amazing. I'd love to know, what has been your proudest achievement in business so far?
Proudest achievement. Gosh, I don't think I've ever thought about this. I would say the moment that I felt the proudest was definitely Rebel Sports. The other moment would definitely be that day that we had the pop-up at the gym. I think that moment when I remember it so clearly. So we had probably like an hour until this. So this was a pop-up that we had at the gym that I used to own. My sister owns it now. And it was like an hour before we were actually meant to open the doors. And all I could see was just this line going, like if there's like a photo on our Instagram somewhere, but the line went all the way onto the road. And that's all I could see by this point. And I remember thinking, oh my God, people are already here. And then someone like came and showed me a video, and the line went, like, it's hard to show you, I like to tell you without showing you, but the line went all the way around all down our road, around the corner, down this other road. Like it was insane. And that was nonstop for the whole day. Nonstop, that line. Like that's how long it was. And it was actually, I felt so bad because it was so hot, and there were like mums with babies and their prams, and it was so hot, and people were waiting 3 hours to get inside. And so that was a moment where I was like, this is insane. There's a video that I took, someone took of me. They came upstairs because I went to hide because I needed a moment just to kind of like process what was happening.
Yeah.
This was like midway through the day, and it was just insane. So I remember going upstairs and just taking a moment, but definitely that day was definitely a proud moment for me because I think I was just I think because we're behind a screen, right? People are buying online. We don't
Yeah.
get to see them in person like you would in a store. So I think it wasn't until I saw all these people coming to shop in there that I was like, this is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So I will never forget that moment.
Mm-mm. I remember that day. I wasn't there, but I was watching online and I was like,
It was
wow, look at all these people.
crazy.
Yeah. Freaking amazing. What would you say has been your hardest lesson so far, even in business or in life?
Oh, there's so many, so many. Um, I think COVID was tough. That was
Mm,
tough because I didn't know if we would come out of that.
mm,
Um, Yeah, no, and I think like even me going through personal stuff is really, really hard because you want to kind of take that moment to process what's going on. Like, for example, last year my dad got cancer
mm,
and like I struggled with that big time. And I think like it's hard because, as a business owner, you can't just stop everything, right? You've got to keep
mm,
going. And I think that was probably a really, really hard time in my business, like my business journey was navigating my hurt or my worries for my dad and all of that and trying to carry on with the business because that was at a time where he like needed me.
mm,
So I even remember like back my dad's better now, like he's doing well, but back then I didn't know if I was gonna like if he was gonna last, couple of months, or we didn't know where things were at with him.
mm,
And I remember like saying to one of my best friends, I said, I think I'm gonna give up here. And
mm,
that's how much it like kind of consumed, like not consumed me, but just like in that moment, I was like, I want to be there for my dad. I want to move back to Rotorua and, make sure I spend as much time with him and all of
mm,
that. So it's just being in those moments, probably been the hardest time for me is navigating, like dealing with my personal stuff, but still carrying on with the business or making sure the business is okay. And it's always
mm,
a struggle though. I think, that's an ongoing thing for business owners. But luckily for me is that I have built an amazing, amazing team. Even now being here in Samoa, I'm able to, still let my team take care of things. Like I'm still working and doing what I can, but my team are like, okay, like go and enjoy your holiday now. I'm like, yes, I'm just gonna do like one more Zoom call. But very, very lucky to have a really good team that do, are there for me and can kind of pick up the pieces when I can't.
mm.
And yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for
Mm,
sharing that. Um, you kind of mentioned like you were like, I think I'm gonna give up, Hine.
mm,
How do you obviously there's my question was going to be like, do you ever want to give up? But obviously there's days where you do want to give up, but like how do
yeah.
you keep going? Because even when I had my sunglasses business, I remember there were days where I was like, oh, I'm going to give up, like it's too much. And then you kind of find a way to go on and you remember why you're doing it and stuff. But sometimes like because I've closed it down now, I was like, no, that felt right at the moment at
Mm.
that time because I was moving into something else. But yeah, how do you not give up and keep going?
Man, like I know I keep talking about like our community, but seriously, I feel like they
Mm,
would never let me give up, right? And like, even if they were listening to this, they'll be like, yeah, that's right. Like, they would never let me give up, first and foremost. And secondly, is definitely my kids. Like, my daughter only wears hine, and she's only 10, and she'll wear like the extra small. She doesn't care. She'll wear them baggy if she wants. That's all she wears. And so I just like, honestly, if I'm having a really shitty day, I'll just look at her and be like, okay, just get over it, keep going.
yeah.
Because I just feel like I'm letting people down. If I do give up, I just feel like I'm gonna let people down, like
Mhm.
not just my daughter, but our community. Um, and so like, yes, it's normal to have those moments of wanting to give up, and I have them a lot. I
Mhm.
have them a lot. But yeah, like I said earlier, like really lucky to have the people that I have around me that do pick me up when I have those moments. But definitely for me is like, yeah, I'm just lucky to have very, very amazing people around me and an amazing community and people that just know how to pick me up when I have those moments.
Mm. Where did you this is kind of a funny question as well, but like where did you find these people? Like where did you find friends like this? Because I've seen some of your posts like they're from like high school days or even younger. It's like where did you like obviously you must be a very good friend, like a good person, and you attract these amazing people because you're such an incredible person. But like how do you have any tips for people who need cool friends?
Oh, I don't know. That's a hard question. So all my
Yeah.
best friends, they're all my best friends from high school.
Yeah.
So they're amazing. So one of them is actually my operations manager.
Yeah.
And so we've been on this journey together, which is really, really cool. And she's that person. So when I talk about who's that person that always picks me up when I have those moments, it's her. Her name's Kayla. If she's
Yeah.
going to be watching and listening to this, she knows. I always mention her. But she's in here in Samoa at the moment. So she's like, this morning we had a Zoom call. She's at her hotel and I'm at my hotel. So we're both on this call. But that's how committed and loyal she is to not only me, but to Hine as well, is that she's meant to be on holiday. She's actually taken her leave. And then she's like, no, I'm going to jump in on that call with you. And I'm like, so I don't know. I think like making them feel a part of your journey is really, really important too. And I think that's when they love Hine just as much as I do because they've been part of that journey. Yeah, so in terms of like friends, I don't know. I think like just finding really loyal friends that hype you up. Like if you have anyone that speaks negatively about anything, like stay away from them because those are so not your people. So my best mates, they're always just real positive and uplifting, and my biggest hype people. In terms of like my advisors, I'm really lucky to have found my ones. And they're all quite local to Hamilton, but it's just finding them at like networking events. That's how I found my ones in the beginning stages. But like, I think it's just about their loyalty. Like my advisors are my same people that I had when I first started Hine.
Wow.
And so like, and majority of the things that we do. So like, I always tell people about how like our photo shoots, we've got the same makeup artist, same photographer, same videographer that we had from day one of Hine.
Wow.
And I'll never change. I'll never change. And it's like because they're part of their journey, and then they just I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah, that
So
loyalty
definitely
for
like
real.
bringing people in and making them
Yeah.
feel a part of it, and that's probably what definitely helped me.
What's the ultimate goal when it comes to Hine? What legacy do you hope to leave behind when you're gone? Like, what's the big vision?
Oh, I just hope it's still here after I'm gone. I want it to be everlasting brand that and maybe my daughter will take it on. I don't know, but I just hope it stays around forever. And I'm not going to be doing this forever.
Yeah.
So I think it's just setting up the right foundations and a solid team, culture, all of that. Our identity as a brand, our vision as a brand, our values. I just hope that all those sorts of components of the business, or the foundations of the business, carry through to whoever does take it on one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Also when it comes to Te Ao Māori and your Māori heritage, like what kind of practices, or is there anything that you kind of incorporate into Hine or any of your businesses?
Probably just our values and definitely our values, but also like it's really important to me that every single person in our company, and majority of them are Maori. We do have 2 Samoan girls, and I'm just trying to think, who else have we got in our team? We've got a pretty big team now, so I'm like, who else have we got? And so making sure that even though they're Maori, some of them are actually lost in their identity. And so it's like encouraging them to really, really like obviously be proud of being Maori, but also finding out where they're from. It's teaching Te Reo Māori. So even just recently for Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, they did like a TikTok where they were teaching, they were asking them questions, like Te Reo Māori questions. And if you got it wrong, you got like sprayed in the face with water. And I watched it because I wasn't there when they filmed it. And I watched it and I was like, that is it. We are doing real lessons at work. Like, I don't care. You guys need to learn. That's so bad. Like, because they were the most simple questions, and that really woke me up because I was like, man, like we're a Māori owned brand, kaupapa Māori. Like, I have to like do my best to make sure that they get a really good understanding, or they learn about Te Ao Māori, they learn about reo Māori, karakia Māori, everything, because it's important to me, and I would love for, and as a brand, I think it's really important. And so it's definitely up to me to make sure that I do my best to teach them and get them more involved in it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's
Mm.
definitely like a journey I've had as well, because I didn't really grow up with it. But I feel like as you get older, you're kind of like, wait, who am I? Like you go on this
And when you have kids,
self-discovery. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, so yeah. So yeah, recently I've been, and I think there's also like, you're like, oh, am I doing it right? Like, should I say it like this? Am I pronouncing it? And it's like, my thing is like, just try it, just do it. Like,
just
you might,
try.
yeah, people might tell you that you're doing it wrong, and then you can learn and you can,
Yeah,
you know, and get used to
yeah,
always saying kia ora and morena. And I even
yeah.
do it like to, because I'm in Australia, but I'll be like morena to people, like friends. When my
Oh, I
friends
love
see
that.
me, yeah. Yeah, when my friends see me, they're like Filipino, Asian, all the things. They're always like morena, 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 or kia
Yeah,
ora. And I'm just like, oh, and then like I'll learn their language as well. Like it's so special. I think as well when I'm away from home is when I
yeah, I
really
bet.
was like, oh, I need to get amongst it more. And it's so like in Australia, there's a lot of Māori, there's a lot of Polynesians here, and I'm always up in there trying to be a part of it all.
Like even as a Maori owned brand or a Maori brand, like I love that we get the opportunity to teach others about our culture. And
Mm,
so even like with us, entering the US market, like because like when I first started Hine, and I always tell the story about how like this Pākehā man told me like if I was ever wanting to take my brand or grow my brand or make it take it anywhere, that
mm.
I needed to change my name, the Maori name, the Hine name.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and so he told me that I need to change my name if I wanted Hine to grow or to go anywhere, and I like never forgot that, and I
Yeah.
always like kept it in the back of my mind because it was kind of like motivation for me.
Yeah,
Like,
good.
yeah, and like so now, and like entering the US market, we've got US customers, and like I love that we can educate them and tell
Mm,
them about the name. We can tell them what the name means, how to pronounce it, like where we're from, what Maori even is. So like even when we engage with them on emails and even on our cards that we send them like personalized letters and things. We talk about those things, and so that's our opportunity to really like showcase Te Ao Māori and who we are to the like others around the world. So
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely like something I'll never take for granted.
Yeah. I love that so much. That because I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and I remember you even saying like there was your accountant who was like, no, don't do that, don't open the movement, don't open the gym. Like you've had different
Mm-hmm.
people say like don't do this, don't do that. How do you
I'm like,
like,
hope he doesn't listen to this.
yeah.
But yes, yeah.
How do you not list, like how do you be like, no, like I'm gonna do it anyway? Like that guy was like, change, you need to change your name, and you're like, no, I'm gonna
Oh,
do this anyway.
that's just trusting yourself, right? So
Mm,
like, and so this is something like that my dad always taught me, and I think that's something that I always like share to everyone that I talk to, or anyone who wants to listen, is like the whole like trusting your gut.
yeah.
Like every decision that I make, that's literally the first thing I'll do. If something feels off or doesn't feel right, or even if I'm like second guessing something,
Mm,
then it's probably not the right decision. And
mm,
so when I'm really, really firm and I'm really, really firstly passionate about something, like it could be a decision. Like for example, let's talk about the gym. So we were doing boot camps, and we would hire spaces just to be able to do our boot camps. We would only have 60 spots, so 60 spots for people to book in. And every single time they would book out, and people were missing out. People were like messaging, like, "Oh, I really want to come, and I've missed out." Blah blah blah.
mm,
And it just got to the point where I looked at my sister, because my sister was a PT at the time, and I said to her, like, "Why are we not just like doing our own thing?" And so it got to the point where I just said, like, neither of us have experience with opening up a gym, but let's just do it because we've got a
mm,
purpose here. It's going to be a space where our wahine can feel comfortable. We can make them like a safe, comfortable space that they can come and train. We're connecting with our community, like just all these different reasons why I knew it could work. And then
mm,
you had people like my accountant going, don't do it, like,
mm,
don't, that's a bad idea. And I don't know, in that moment, like, looking back, he was obviously you know, coming from a financial kind of like perspective where he was just like, oh, you know, he's probably heard horror stories about gyms, and gyms are a really tough industry. Like, I
Yeah.
know that. And so I think he was just kind of warning me because Hine was doing so well. I think he was like, oh, this is gonna, like, what if it affects Hine and all that kind of stuff. And so he was obviously like warning me, but because I knew, you know, like how passionate I was about it, I knew the real purpose behind it, that I just went ahead and did it, and I have no regrets, no regrets whatsoever. Now my sister runs it; it's thriving, it's doing amazing. She loves it; that's her baby. You know, and so like I look back and I'm like, every decision, like hands down, every decision that I've made that I've probably been told not to do, I'm happy I did it.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there one that I regret? No, but yes, I'm pretty sure like the majority of them I'm happy with. But like I said at the beginning, like even if I did like lose out or I failed or at something, like at the end of the day, I learned from it, and that's the
Mm,
only way that we can learn is by
yes.
stuffing up or failing. So I have no regrets.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, awesome. Well, I'll wrap up. I know I've taken more than enough of your time. Can I just
Didn't
ask
know what the time is.
one more question?
Yeah, of
It's,
course. Yeah.
what would you say to wahine out there who, like, they know that they're destined for more, right? They want to do big things in the world. Yeah, they're like, they've got these huge goals, but for some reason they're holding back a little bit. They're not taking action. What would your like wise words be to them?
Well, let's go back to that following your gut, right? If you have like something that you're super, super passionate about and you can't stop thinking about it, then like there's nothing else that you can do that will make that go away. Like, and I
Mm,
know that, like, because that's what happened to me, is that you know that you have this massive purpose. I was scared. Like, I will hands down admit that I was really scared to start Hine, but I think because of like the purpose behind, like what I wanted to create or what I wanted to do, that would never ever leave my brain, even if I tried to forget about it. And I think
mm,
so many women, and I don't know if it's like women are just so driven, right? Like we're driven, but I feel like we're really stubborn as well. It's like when we have this idea, we have to follow through with it. And so like my biggest thing is just go for it. Like, don't let anything hold you back. And I mean that in the most like respectful way when it comes to even your partners, right? Because
mm,
you know, and I'm not like throwing shade on any ex-partners or anything like that, but I'm saying is like be your own person, make your own decisions, and if there's something that you really, really want to do, just go for it and don't let anyone hold you back. Don't let anyone tell you it can't be done. Don't let anyone tell you it's a stupid or silly idea, because your idea, if it's like so important to you, then like there's nothing else you can do but go for it. And there's going to be moments where it's going to be very challenging. Business is hard. And like I had literally had this conversation with my sister a couple of weeks ago where she was having a rough time. And she was like, I don't think I can do this. And I like just said to her, I was like, you wanted to do this.
mm,
And like, what made you think that getting into business was easy? Because it's not. Business is very, very hard, but it's super rewarding. And you have to stay in it because there's going to be peaks, right? It's like a roller coaster. There's going to be moments where everything is going amazing, but then it's going to drop again. And you're going to
mm,
have a time where it's really, really rough. And that's the times that you have to really, really persevere. You have to just be patient and you have to work even harder, but you just can't get to that point where you just want to like give up. And I
mm,
know it's easier said than done, but like I said, like going back to all the things that I just spoke about, having the right people around you, even like for just starting a business, is that you're going to have people in your group that will say, that's a dumb idea. I had that. Trust me, I
mm.
had that. People saying that's just silly. There's heaps of other, you know, brands out there. And I'm like, well, you just like, come on.
Yeah.
And so, you know, like it's just about making sure that you kind of like filter filter through the ones that there are those type of people in your circle, because yeah, it could take one person to give you an opinion to like literally like drown you and make you just feel like you can't do it, but you definitely can. That is such a long answer to your question. I could go on and on, but it's definitely just believing in yourself, trusting your gut, and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Mm, I love
And
that.
don't be afraid, like never think that you have to know what you're doing to start.
Mm,
Didn't have a business degree and had no idea what I was doing, but I just went with it and figured it all out on like as I went. And that's the best way to learn a business. So don't think that you have to wait until you're either qualified. Don't think that you have to wait until, I don't know, you've studied or you're learned or all of that. Like you'll find a way to make it work, and you just have to figure it out as you go.
yes, I love that so much. Well,
Long answer to your one
yeah.
question.
It's good. I love long answers because they're so in depth, and they're actual, like what you've just said, like anyone listening to this can literally take that and start a business because you've literally like covered everything. So I appreciate that answer. But I just want to say, like, thank you so much for saying yes to coming on the podcast.
I'm glad we
And
did it.
yeah, taking the time out and, you know, answering the questions. And there's just so much information in here that I know a lot of people will be inspired by and will actually help them with their business. You've helped me already. And yeah, I am like in such awe of what you're doing, your movement. I'm more, I don't know if I could even get more, but I'm more like, yes, when it comes to
Oh, I love
Hine and
that.
you and like everything that you're doing. I can really feel like the passion in there. Like it's just like you're so genuine with what you're doing and it shows through the brand. And I think that's another reason why you have this community, because it's like you're just like legit the real deal, like doing amazing things. So thank you
Thank
so
you
so
so much.
much. It's honestly been an honor. So I'm going to link all the details below if people want to follow you and all the things, and buy some Hine gears. I'm going to put my name behind it as well. Like you need these
I'll
gears.
give you a discount code. I'll message you a
Really?
discount code.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I will.
gosh. Oh, thank you so much. You're the best. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Nah, just thank you so much for having me. And I'm even though I'm here in Samoa and hopefully the internet hasn't been crap, I'm just glad we could finally do it after, you know, trying to like pushing it out so many times. So I love talking to you, and yeah, I just enjoyed this corridor.
Oh, thank you, sis.